This is Catherine Cespedes, and you are listening to Yogini from the Block, where we talk about taking spiritual practices and spiritual principles off of the yoga mat and into our real lives. You can listen to this bi-weekly podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, and anywhere that you catch your podcasts. Hello, and welcome to episode 27. This is an exciting episode. They all are. Today we are here with one of my best friends, and we are talking about saying yes to opportunity, subtitled, "What is yours will always be for you." Today I am here with my wonderful producer, John Beethan.
Good generic time of the day.
Yes, and like I said earlier, with my best friend. So,
yeah.
That is her, and this is she. So Massiel Pion is an amazing individual. She graduated from with her bachelor's in social work and a minor in community youth development, and she currently is teaching sexual risk avoidance and about positive relationships in Miami City schools. She also teaches community yoga classes with members of her church community, and that is my best friend, Massiel Pion.
You got it. Yeah. Thank you for such an amazing introduction, Kathy. I'm so honored and so blessed to be here with you guys, and to share this space, to share this love, and just to be here. Wow. I'm like I thought about all these things to say, and I'm just like so happy just to be here with you guys.
Thank you, Masi. So, Masi is my best friend, and she's my best friend for a lot of reasons.
BFF for life. FO.
One of the reasons is because as we are moving in our lives, and we went from being young teenagers in college to being full-grown fledged women in the working force, and we've really transitioned a lot in terms of our mentality, what was important to us, so our values, our beliefs. We've grown and shifted a lot, but we have been very consistent with the core of who we are, and thus is why we are always so young and free with each other and with the world. And we check in with each other. So Masi, for me, is my reliability partner. I say I'm going to do something, and then we don't talk for like 3 or 4, 5, 6 months sometimes. And she's like, "Girl, you did that? You told me you was going to do it." And at that point, I've already done it. And vice versa. Masi will be like, I was thinking about doing X, Y, and Z. And I'm talking to her, and she's like, "Yeah, I already did that. Oh, and while I was doing that, I did a play or 2 or 3.
And it's so amazing. I remember the conversation we always have, that it comes up, something that we talked about 10 years ago. We were in your old apartment, in a room, in your bedroom. We were just talking about what we're going to do with our lives. And this is where I'm going to be 5 years from now. And this is going to be 7 years from now. And it wasn't until last year we were like, remember all of those things we talked about and never talked about again? You're doing that. You're living that. And then you mentioned it about me. You're like, "Girl, you too." And I'm like, wow, like things that we don't take inventory on. We just live our lives. We set these intentions and we move on with life. And then we get there and we're like, whoa, you go back and we're like, how did I get here? Stuff that we plan and we talk about. And it's amazing.
Yes. And another thing that I didn't say to you earlier, but I would like to say to you now, and I'll probably text you about it later, is Happy Women of Color Day.
Oh, thank you. Happy Women of Color Day.
Thank you. Yes. So, in that, we've grown academically, and we have also grown spiritually. And like you said, 10 years ago, we would sit in my room, or we would sit in the bed, in like the dorm rooms, wherever we were sitting at the time. We did a lot of sitting, didn't we? We would talk about what it is
dancing.
We would talk about what it is that we wanted to create into our lives. And you said it so beautifully, is that intention, the intention of this is what I'm casting out. And one thing that I want to bring up is that I remember I casted out that I wanted to move to California. And when I got here, I was happy, but there was a point where I was down. I was so down. I was crying because I was like, "Masi, I'm here and I don't have a job." And I don't know what I'm doing. And you reminded me, you were like, "Kathy, you said that you wanted to be in California." and you're doing it. So I think saying yes is not only about saying yes to opportunities, it's also saying yes to people, saying yes to friendships, and saying yes to the possibilities that are available. Right. We were just talking about Masi just did a play, and it's funny because we talked probably every day last week or 2 weeks ago. And we talked literally every single day. And at the end of the week, she posted something on Instagram that she was in a play, and I was like, girl, what? Hold up.
It was so funny because I didn't realize until the last play we had 4 services, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I should invite my friends. This is live, online. What am I thinking? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I was in rehearsal every other day, and I was always practicing. And it's just, I guess, because it's not something that I normally did on a daily basis, or something that I planned out myself to do. It was just, and then again, I can't even say that because I would always say to myself, I always wanted to pursue acting. I remember being 12 and watching the Disney Channel and wanting my own sitcom or my own show, things that I never personally went out of my way to do, right? Like, if I'm practicing yoga, if I want to be a yoga teacher, I'm going to go to a yoga teacher training. I'm going to practice yoga every day. If I want to write a book, I'm going to read more. I'm going to write notes and take notes and talk about what I'm going to write in my book. This is something that I didn't talk about every day. So it was interesting to like how people were like, oh my God, I didn't know. I'm like, I didn't know either. It just happened. Like,
and that's how this topic came up because, as Masi was telling me about how this occurred, she was like, you know what? I just said yes. All I did was say yes. And that's really that's really how you move from A to B is you say yes. You say yes to the opportunity and you say yes to exploring something about yourself because you said it yourself, like you've always thought about doing it, but you didn't actually implement it to actually manifest it and create it. But since you were thinking about it, when the opportunity showed up, you were so ready that you said yes.
Girl, I was so ready, but I was so shook. I was so shook. And I think when it comes to opportunities and saying yes, we also talked about even those big yeses that scare us. There's a reason why that yes was there, right? And I believe God places things in our lives and he wants more from us, right? His opportunities are God opportunities. He wants more from us. And I feel like as humans, sometimes we think too small, or we think, okay, maybe I can go up to this level, but I don't know if I'm ready there. I don't have the tools for this level. I don't have the education for this level. But God is saying, like, this is prepared for you. Like, this is here. All you got to do is just reach up and grab it. And sometimes people like that, like the acting coach here at my church, he's like, hey, just here, take it. It's there. You fit the role. And I'm like, fit the role? Like, what? Give me the one with the least lines. Like, no, I can't do that. And then come the show, I'm reading all these lines and improvising and doing all this extra stuff I didn't know I had in me until I was like, you know what, God, take control. Use me and just put me up there, and whatever I needs to be said, whatever I need to do, just God, fill me up with your power, fill me up with whatever, use me, right? You know, Masi, you knew me before I was even born. You knew me when I was in your womb. Use whatever that's in me and just break it out. And I went up there and boom. Like,
so another piece is saying yes, and then faith. Trust, knowing that once you say yes, that you have the tools and you have the ability and you have the awareness and the knowingness within you to fulfill the roles that are in front of you. And on top of that, one of the things that we talked about is that when I saw that video of her, Masi was telling me, nobody knew that I had this in me. And I was like, really? Because that looks like Masi from like when we were like in the dorm rooms. Like that's you.
Yeah.
What do you mean they didn't know? So that's another piece is also like as women and who we are, that's why we're best friends. But who we are is just that we are such characters. We are characters. And I think for a while, me, not so much Masi, but for me, and I think Masi too, but you would speak on that better on your behalf. Yeah. I really did try to tone myself down. I tried to tone myself down so that I would be more palpable or palatable. That's the word. Yeah. I wanted to be more palatable to the individuals whom I was working with. I wanted to be kind of like under the radar. Like I wanted to do it and I wanted to do it good, but I didn't want to do it too good. And I didn't want to do it too loud. And I didn't want to do it in a way that would make anyone else feel like I was trying to take anything from them.
I get you. Yep.
Right? So I sat myself down, and I sat myself down so many times. And despite the sitting down, I'm not saying go ahead and sit yourself down, because things are going to come to you anyway, but they do. They really do. But the thing is that when you sit yourself down and something comes your way, you need to learn to stand up and stay up.
Yeah.
Right?
Even if your feet are shaking, even if your knees are hitting each other, even if you're scared, like I said, I was shook. You say yes. It's in you, and you have to find it somewhere in you. And I remember us having that conversation where you had called me and was like, I need to reach out to my roots. I need to reach out to people who know me, people who know, where I come from, and just know my life and know my story. And I think we have to come to that, and not just within ourselves. And even if sometimes we can't even find it with ourselves. One of my friends from New York said something to me today, and I was at work, and she's like, how have you been? And she's like, and I told her, I was like, I've been good, but it's been hectic. I don't like to say, I had a bad day, or oh my gosh, I'm so stressed, or this or that. I find it, even when sometimes it's valid to complain, I don't like to complain about it. So I was like, it's been a bit hectic. And she's like, it's good to be hectic. And I was like, yeah, it is, because I always find the good in everything, or find the opportunity, right? Find the opportunity in everything. But then it's like, it's difficult working with people with different personalities and people who are just all over the place. And she was like, girl, you from New York. Like, you got this. And I was like, wow. I had to be reminded of that, because, just living in South Florida and having the mentality that I've been out here for 3 years. And sometimes I have to, like you said, sit down, right? Or take, just be under the radar, because I may be too much, or I may think too loud, or communicate too extra where they don't know how to respond to that, or they don't know how to receive that. So I have to then turn my chair around and be received in the way they can receive me. And that's not how it should be, because then we take those opportunities when we're supposed to be ourselves and bring that to the world, bring that light that hasn't been shined before, or maybe it's been shined, but not like your light. You have to take that opportunity to be you in every sense. And if you can't find it in you, you have to go back to your roots, go back to your friends, go back to your family, go back to that source, go back to God. Just how God reminded me, girl, I put this in you. I planted this seed in you, and I've been watering it ever since you were born, girl. You forgot about it? Now let me shine a little bit of light on it, okay? And be Massiel.
Right. Be that. And I want to just highlight that that Massiel and I have different, like we go to different churches, like completely different churches. And still we're like, okay, that's yours. That's the way you believe it. And still at the very core of it, the very core is that there is one divine intelligence. There is there is that, right? That's one. And then two, when saying yes, you said this very beautifully, when saying yes, knowing that, yes, you are moving out into the world, you are growing and you are expanding. And when you're saying yes, you're also bringing, Kevin says this so beautiful, you're also bringing your people with you. Like I'm moving forward, but I'm also bringing Massiel and Jahira and Dali and Tanel. I'm also bringing
That's so beautiful. Yeah.
Right.
You bring pieces of your friends because they're part of your heart. You're bringing them with you.
And it's so much easier. It has been for me when I feel like, yo, Massiel, I feel like I'm losing myself a little bit. Like, and you're like, what? Hold up. Let me remind you.
Facts.
Let me remind you, because when you say yes, you're changing. You start changing. You start growing. And so when you say yes, there needs to be an intention behind that. Even if it takes you 2 seconds. Like, yes, I want to take this position. And you know what? I'm going to become this woman. This is who I'm becoming. Because I said this earlier. I think I was talking to, maybe it was Jahira. I don't remember. That when you start moving in your life, whether it be in a relationship or anything you do in your life, you do change. It's going to happen because you're going to learn something about yourself, about the people around you. And
you'll have the experience. You have more to talk about, more to relate to or not relate to, more to grow with. So yeah, absolutely.
So the intention is very important, right? So I'm going to get into this relationship, and my intention is that I'm going to be this woman. This is who I want to be. So that when I start changing, I can ask myself, am I becoming that woman that I want to be?
Wow,
when I start changing, right? Am I becoming the woman that is going to lead this family? Is that who I want to be? Because I'm going to start changing, because there are things that, you know, may not be very productive. Like Kevin loves waking up early in the morning. That's not my jam. But he loves waking up early in the morning, and he's waking me up. And I had to ask myself, like, I really don't want to do this, but who would I be if I started doing that? Who would I be if I started showing up to work earlier? Who would I be? What would I be letting go? Who would I be letting go if I start doing that? So asking myself these questions.
Who would I be letting in too?
Exactly. What opportunities would come if I start doing X, Y, and Z? And when Masi and I were talking about this, we were talking about just saying yes. Like if it, and you know, there's books, there are podcasts, there are tons of things about this. When there's like the hell yes or the hell no, right? And I'm saying hell, Masi, HAIL, ice.
Got you.
So when it's either one or the other, and really tapping into yourself, because what you're doing at that moment is that you're really finding out what your intention is. Because if I say no, what am I saying no to? But if I say yes, what am I saying yes to? Really feeling that in your bones, because I feel like when you don't create that intention, and it's happened to me, you say yes to one thing and it grows into 50 million other things, and you're like, that's not who, right. What? That's not the woman I want to be. That's not what I want to do.
I feel like personally for myself, when I say yes to something that like Masi wants to do, I find having more fear in that than versus saying yes to what God wants for me. And I think that's when it comes to discernment, like discerning, is this good for me? Is this not good for me? You feel it, right? So yes, going inside, but we all know that also feelings, they don't last forever.
They're fleeting.
Exactly. So I find for myself, if I say yes for myself or no, or even no, even sometimes those no seem, I don't know, I'm not too sure. I don't like that in between. I don't like that gray area of not being too sure. So for me, I'll always go to God for that, for confirmation or for discernment or for guidance. And I think that, yes, podcasts, books, pastors or ministers who have messages, they'll have messages that either they, you know, God or Holy Spirit or Spirit gives them that communication or revelation as well. I think we have to search for God when it comes to that, because as humans, we're not perfect, right? We're imperfect. And I think going to God for that communication and that discernment gives us more peace. Like, I know God got me. So I know wherever he's taking me, I have full confidence that I'm going to get there. Whether if I'm saying yes to a job that I know I do not like, or a job that I know that right now, I don't like using the word hate, but like I hate right now. I do not like this job, or I don't like this conversation I'm having. At the end of the day, we have to do everything with love. So even if it's something that we do not like, we have to go to that higher power. We have to go to God and say, God, I don't know what's going on right now, but I need your guidance, because I can't do it by myself.
Right. And
my human self, I can't do it by myself.
Right. And a part of that, yes, is one thing that we talked about was relationships. Who are you bringing when you say yes? And the other thing is doing it with love. So if you're going to do it, just Nike it, do it all the way, right? Isn't that their logo? Just do it.
Yeah.
So they're not paying me for that, by the way. I just wanted to add. So it's doing it, who you're doing it with, bringing in that family, bringing in that love, bringing in that support. Because I actually just submitted for my master's degree, and I just got accepted. I just got accepted.
Congratulations.
So thank you. I am officially a master's degree student, and I'm doing a grant. So in the grant, they're asking me, like, who's your support system? Like, I feel like that's how it reads. It doesn't clearly.
Yeah.
But I'm like, who is my support system? I'm saying yes to this degree. I'm saying yes to this master's. Who is my support system? And then doing it with love. If I'm going to take this class, and I've already heard that it's going to be kind of tricky per se, I'm going to take it, and I'm going to do it with love. So I'm going to prepare myself so that I can love myself while I'm taking this course. So I think everything that we have covered is really, when saying yes, there is A, the intention, there is B, who you're doing it with, and then there's C is how you're doing it. Are you doing it with love?
Yeah.
Right? That's and good. Then, Masi said this so beautifully, doing this with God and knowing that that God is not separate from us. We may cut him off.
Right.
We may say like, yo, sit down, God, I'm going to do this, you know? But this God is always connected, regardless if we are not listening or not. Like if we're listening or not, God will always be there, right? Spirit is always there. So knowing that we always have that instant connection, we always have that instant knowing, we always have that, it's just there. It's just like breathing. You don't have to think about breathing. Breathing is always there. You don't have to think about a lot of things that our bodies do. It just does it. And that's God, that's spirit, that's love. And you can see that God does it with everything. He brings everything.
Yes, he does.
She brings everything. It brings everything into it, right? And it's done with so much love and care and precision. And it's so delicate. At the same time, it's so strong, right? So, Masi, I just want to thank you for taking the time to be here.
My pleasure.
It's always so much fun.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
It's always so much fun to talk to you, always. And again, we've been best friends for so long, so I'm surprised that we were able to wrap this up under 3 hours.
I know, right?
And if you want to reach out to Masi, she is on Instagram as, could you give them your Instagram handle and your email?
Yes. So it's Massiel, Massiel _Ita, ITA, which like in the Latin culture, it's like little Massiel, little girl. But Massielita, so Massiel _Ita. Or you can hit me up on my Gmail. It's I am the hip hop yogi at gmail.com. So just like that, I am the hip hop yogi.
Thank you, Masi. And I want you to know that if you're listening out there, you can, hit up my best friend. I am not jealous. That's always an opportunity, an option. And I want you to know that you are loved. And I want you to know that spirit is in all places at all times, especially within you, expressing as you and being as you. And I know that today brings so much joy, so much opportunity, so many times to say yes, and so many times to explore yourself and all the gifts and talents that you have. I am releasing these words in divine law, knowing that it's already done. And so it is.
Amen. Yes.